I'm never going to tire of driving this road. This is just, you know.
Well, that was Chris speaking. He was our host for the first 10 days. We stayed at mile 21 on Hummingbird Highway. So, yeah, what a great host. What a great way to start the trip. He kind of filled us in on the ways of Belize, and just such a smart guy. He knew so much about everything. He was a great birder. He was actually a tour guide, so he knew a lot about the ruins and the area. And he was very politically astute. He could go on for quite a while about the way Belize runs, or in most cases doesn't function. And just knew a little bit about everything. Great horticulturist. He did a lot of the planting on his land. Just as crazy how fast things grow. Also, 20 feet high in a couple of years, in like 3 or 5 years. And he kept us fully supplied in fresh bananas of different varieties, plantains that we fried up in palm oil that he actually also harvested on the land. Oh, there goes one of the buses. We got around on those things. They were fun. All the windows were like wide open, so it was really windy in it. Reggae just cranked. We never did figure out how the pay system worked. I think maybe like about $1 per person for about a half hour of driving. But yeah, great way to get around if they stop for you, but they didn't always stop, because if they're full, they just go zipping by. Anyways, back to Chris and his place. Like I say, bananas. He also kept us supplied with fresh eggs, warm. He never had a warm egg given to me before. That's how fresh they were. And fresh coconut water, jugs of it, and turmeric and ginger that he grew on the land. Just such a great guy. He even baked a cake for Sam's birthday, banana cake. This is our place where we stayed. This is something he picked up. It's a couple hundred years old. He got a buddy of his to recarve a head because it was missing a head. It's like a jaguar head. And then, the shower was interesting. The slower the water ran, the the hotter it was. It was just a little electric heater on the end where it came out. And as you can see, it's very lush there. Chris gave us a big tour of his land, talking about each tree and how it grows and how it fits into the ecological system. And you can see he has lots of pride in what he grows and how he's sort of reclaiming the jungle. You can see there's a little Christmas tree we had, and the water jug. He said we could drink the water. It comes from a stream, but we didn't take any chances. And then outside here is where we spent a lot of time, watching the hummingbirds and the birds and life go by when we weren't busy out on adventures. Yeah, so speaking of birds, our first day there, we saw a bunch of toucans right above the house, up in the tree. It was pretty comical, actually. Step outside in the morning with coffee, and there they were, the toucans. Nico bought a pamphlet on the birds of Belize, and he counted around 50 different species of birds. And there's a little iguana or salamander that fell onto Nico. There was a great big iguana also on the property. It lived up in a tree above the river that runs through his property. And that's the river where we swam and splashed around in to cool down on. So here we are on our first adventure to the waterfall.
The crocodile.
So this is the Billy Barkadeer Waterfall. It's in one of the mini national parks. All the parks are 10 Belizean to get in, 20 Belizean if you're a non-resident, and free if you are a resident on every Sunday. They put a lot of work into their parks. The trails are great, really nice. Chris, our host, said that if we climb up the waterfall, there's a jacuzzi, a natural jacuzzi, halfway up, which we did, and he was right. Nico came up, but he was a little bummed when he found out that it was actually not a heated jacuzzi, but he still got up there. Now I see that hole right above Sam's head right now. That's where there was a very poisonous snake. It's called a fer de lance. On our very first day, both Sam and I almost stuck our hands in that hole. I was trying to find a way up to the top. Well, I was waiting for Sam and Nico and Rebecca to come up. I figured it's just not worth the hassle, so I did.
A snake?
Snake, yeah.
I didn't see a snake.
Where?
Wow. What's
There's also spiders around, guys, too, hey? Now I head back up.
Should I go try to get a picture of the snake? Or is that just dangerous? Okay.
So when we got down from the hike and we talked to the park ranger, Tony, we told him what the snake looked like, and he said, yeah, that's a fer de lance. And his direct quote was, that is not a good boy. So we're very fortunate that we all missed that fight. Anyways, I took a picture at the zoo of what they look like, and this is about the same size of it. About 4 feet long, maybe. It's hard to tell, it's coiled up. But we all survived, and we are back to our next adventure. There's some pictures of around the property. There's a basilisk running across the river at his property. And then we were back on the bus again to head to the next adventure, which was another waterfall at Mayflower National Park. Yeah, I always thought that, if you went to visit the jungle, wherever you're staying, you could just sort of walk out the back and then walk through the jungle and check things out. But you can't. I mean, it's really, really thick. And that's why all these little parks they got everywhere are great, because they've cut these trails out of the jungle. And it's funny because Belize has a lot of unsafe practices. Like, they don't really follow the rules. But in Belize, they, the little ropes to help you get up the slippery routes, and they made stone stairs. And yeah, this waterfall was a little different than the one we did, the last one. The last one is sort of we walked just away from the road, meandered our way through the jungle. But this one, pretty much right from the parking lot, it was straight up all the way, which was really cool because it got us up above the tree line, and we could see all the way to the Caribbean Sea. After the Mayflower Park waterfall hike, the weather kind of got a little nasty. Well, by Belize standards, nasty. The high of 20 degrees, and yeah, windy and rainy. So we stayed in and played cards for a couple days and didn't leave. Didn't go very far, but this adventure took us to the Haunted Forest Cave. We were really lucky to get on this adventure. Once again, our guide host, Chris, told us about this cave. It's not really well discovered, and they try to keep it that way. This is the town of St. Margaret you have to go into. It's just off the Hummingbird Highway. I don't know, maybe a population of 100 people. The ATM cave is, those are Mennonites. They farm the land all by hand and no power. It's pretty neat to see them there. Anyways, back to the cave. So the ATM cave up by San Ignacio probably sees about 200 people a day in the busy season. This cave probably sees about 200 people a year. And like I say, they try to keep it quiet. It's sort of like you gotta know somebody that knows somebody to get into it. So our guide Jose took us through this. It's about an hour, 40-minute ride to get there, crossing some streams and creeks. And Jose, our guide, said that he used to guide at the ATM cave, and he says this cave was equally as large as historically important. There was clay pottery shards in there, and human bones and skulls that they had from sacrifices. It really was mind-blowing. So I'm not going to say anything more about the cave. I'll let just the video roll with Sean Foltz's music playing.
Holy, this is
It's a
like
friend of
right
mine.
out of yeah, kind of. What is it thinking? Like Planet of the Apes. Yeah. Woo.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that deep. Oh, wow.
We were in that cave for a good 4 to 5 hours. We even had lunch on the riverbank there by Headlamp. Jose made us all burritos, rolled out we made our own burrito, but he brought all the stuff, put it out on a blanket, and we had a nice lunch by the river. As long as you were by the stream that cut through the cave, there was always a bit of sound and a bit of air movement, but you got up to the old cave where you had to climb up where the old pottery was and the human bones. It's quite stuffy and super quiet, tomb-like. Really neat. They figure there's been life in that cave. Well, people going in using it for sacrifices for maybe 3,000 years ago. What an experience. And then it was back to another waterfall. Sam's birthday, December 22nd. Did a quick little hike to this plane crash, and then we're at the Coxcomb Basin Wildlife Sanctuary, habitat to thousands, well maybe not thousands, hundreds of jaguars. I'm exaggerating a bit there. So on the way up, another steep hike up, they had these little, there's a paw print of a jaguar. They say you don't see them, they see you, probably the same as our mountain lions. This was a double waterfall. This was really cool. We once again pretty much had it to ourselves. That's the beauty of hiking in Belize, touring in Belize. It just seems like you got the whole country to yourself. We had to get out of the waterfall. You had to get up, but there's some people came as we were in, so we had it all to ourselves, and then we left to them. And after we did the waterfall, we came down and we did a little inner tube float, also at the Coxcomb Basin. See, we saw my first howler monkey there up in the tree, and some toucans and some arikaris. I really enjoyed seeing the jungle by inner tube. Nice and slow. You had to go underneath the canopy. Actually, that tree right there, you can see those are toucans and arikaris flying around there. It's so quiet, especially if you make sure the rest of the family gets far ahead of you. After the Coxcomb Basin, we went down to the town of Hopkins on the ocean and had a great pizza. It was an ice cold land shark. And then a couple days after Sam's birthday, we left for Tobacco Key. We made our way to the town of Dangriga, where we caught a water taxi, which cost us about, I don't know, 20 US per person to get us out there. Dangriga, unfortunately, was a very dirty town. It didn't pick up the garbage. But Tobacco Key, on the other hand, was beautiful.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Nico.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas on the island. That's how we were summoned to our meals by conch shell 3 times a day. Yeah, it was windy the first couple of days we were there. Sort of chewed up the ocean a bit. We were told to watch out for falling coconuts. I don't know how you're supposed to do that when the whole island is full of coconut trees. There's Nico doing a little knitting in his hammock. The island was quite small. It took 5 minutes to walk across the furthest point to point. There's some stingrays flying around. When the conch fishermen would come in, they would take the conch out of the shell there, and these guys would come in and slurp up the conch juice or something, I don't know what, but there was lots of them around that dock. Yeah, so that's it. So those are the boats that you kind of get shuttled around in.
How's your island adventure, boys and girls?
Great.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's like super cute stray dogs all over Belize. This guy, oh, he was so cute. We almost brought a dog home with us from the island. Kept following us around. So I don't know, I think there's only about 50 people that live on that island. I think even like when it's filled with tourists, it's probably only maxed out at about 250 people. So we rented kayaks and did a little paddling. Here we are going through the mangroves. Yeah, we were hoping we'd find some manatees, but we didn't. But they are around there. There's a colony of them. Well, that's a barracuda swimming by there.
Hey guys, there's a barracuda coming your way. There's a big barracuda coming your way. That's in the water.
Boys there were great helping us with fishing. It was pretty neat to hang out with them and fish. And we got into the water to do some snorkeling. But unfortunately the water was a little chewed up from the previous couple days of wind and rain, but it still was pretty nice. And the time to leave came too quick, but luckily we were going to another island, to Key Cocker. So water taxi back, bus to Belize City, and then took the water taxi, well actually a ferry, out to Key Cocker. So, but we didn't go by airplane. I just put that in. Somebody did, some people did. Now here's a little bike tour of the island. This is what it looked like getting from, well, where we stayed down to one of the points of the island. So after Tobacco Key, Key Cocker seemed like a pretty busy place. They still no cars, but they had golf carts ripping around. Bicycle and golf cart and foot. That's how people moved about the island. Lots of restaurants, bars, places set up to take people on tours. Kind of the restaurants were all sort of the same. Lobster and beans and rice and chicken, a few street vendors, and a lot of charcoal fireplaces, or like open fire pits where the smell of hardwood burning started about 11 o'clock, and then the chicken and the pork and the lobsters that started cooking up. First the smell was just heavenly, but after a while it almost kind of got a little too much. It's quite a rich smell. All the streets are sand. It's a nice live entertainment that we checked out one night. Great cover band. It was a good place to spend a week and to bring in the new year. So this is on the way to the Lazy Lizard, where we did most of our swimming. There was a big kind of a wall you could jump off right into deep water and swim around. You didn't have to wade out. We also had a pretty cool diving platform set up there too. You could get some good air. Sadly, on the island, there is trouble in paradise. All their power comes from this huge diesel burning power plant. It's just choking out the smoke. Inefficient power for sure. The power would go out quite a bit. Nobody seemed to care. People had backup generators and solar lights, but yeah, there's the Lazy Lizard. So one night we played some volleyball there and some soccer. We'd go here sometimes during the daytime and fish, play like ball toss. And then we'd go to the other side of the island to watch the sunset, the pelicans come in. Here's a quick, speedy little tour of the island by bike.
Ah.
Right, what do you...
So we booked Carlos tours to another recommendation of Chris to go on a catamaran and do some snorkeling. It was great because the catamaran actually did get out by wind power. There's nothing better in the world than moving by wind power. And then we got to Shark Alley where there's these nurse sharks that we swam with. There goes Nico jumping in, Rebecca, and well, I'll just let you watch the fishies.
I just gotta find a way to keep it beating, like on birds
Where's Nico? Where's Nico? Dad, you let in?
I just gotta find a way to keep it beating, like on birds I just gotta find a way to keep it beating, like on birds
Oh, she's sizzling. Oh, she's sizzling.
And after a day on the ocean snorkeling, it was time to get ready to bring in the new year. So it was lobster for everyone. Well, you go ahead, shrimp. And then we played some cards to try to keep us to make it to the fireworks at midnight. Usually we were in bed by like 9:30 because it just gets dark so early. But tonight we made a special effort to stay up, and we were not let down by the fireworks. Belize, they sure like to blow things up. We got a little close. We were led in by a security guard to go to the end of the dock saying, oh yeah, they light them off somewhere out here. Well, they were really close.
Wow, we are getting stuff here.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bird here.
That's funny.
There we were, New Year's Day 2020. We took a little water taxi, a free water taxi that took us just across the little strait here to, what's it called, Coco King. And then we spent the day here swimming, fun in the sun, and then back for fish and chips. If you're ever in Key Cocker, Chef Juan is the place to eat. Great fish and chips and a killer key lime. It's actually our first key lime experience that kind of set us down the trail of seeking out other glorious meringue top pies. But now it was time to leave the island and say goodbye to the ocean, head back inland for the third and final part of our trip. Once again, return to the jungle. This time it was to see the Mayan ruins. So I was back on the ferry to Belize City, and then a bus all the way up to San Ignacio. And from San Ignacio we got a cab that took us to Bullet Tree Falls, which is about 15 kilometers, I guess, up the road. And then here we are. There's our cabin, the Toucan cabin. So this is called Cahoon Palms. There's about 4 or 5 of these little huts here. Ours was like right close to the river, a few steps down, and we were on the river.
Well, I might do it. On tight.
Hold on tight until you're ready to let go.
Anything with my feet for
Nope.
push-up?
Nope. Just lift your knees up, lift your feet up, and you'll go.
Don't push me, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Don't be a Sam.
One for the money. Two for the show.
No, I don't like
Three
that.
get ready and four to go.
I don't do, that doesn't work on me.
Here you go. Here. Mom.
Oh, guys,
Mom.
guys, I'm not going to do it if you do that. Turn
Okay.
off the video. Okay, Mom? No one's filming you. No one's filming you. Just don't film her. Ah!
Cahoon Palms was a great place to stay. Food was there. I mean, it wasn't included. You had to sort of book. You had to tell the chef that, yes, we will have breakfast or lunch. I mean, breakfast was $8 US a breakfast, and dinner was $12. We didn't miss a breakfast, but we only did, half of the dinners there. But right on the river, so many birds. And this was nice because there weren't any insects there really. The first place we stayed in the jungle, you really had to wear the high socks and the pants or else your ankles would get chewed on by some kind of no-see-ums. It was beautiful here. We ate a lot of fried jacks. It's a yeastless pastry that's folded over and then deep fried, and it puffs up, and then you can rip it open and put your scrambled eggs and hot sauce and salsa in it. Or sometimes you could order the stuffed ones like this one, and it would be folded already and it'd have beans and chicken in it. It was a good place to be for the last of our trip because we really did a lot of just wind down time, a lot of reading. I didn't feel like we had to do a lot. So everywhere you go in Belize, on the table you're guaranteed to get a bottle of Mary Sharp's hot sauce. So our first adventure, we went to San Ignacio, went to the market, and I got my picture taken with Mary Sharp herself. There we are. And we ate some pupusas, which are from San Salvador, kind of cornmeal filled things. We put a spicy cabbage on, and yum yum. There's there, getting made fast action. Market was really clean, really nice, but it was a super hot day. And then we walked through the city up to the highest point, where we went to Kahel Pesh, which is one of the oldest temples in Belize. Interestingly, Belize during the Mayan time had a population of over 1 million people compared to the 400,000 that live there now. It's not hard to imagine that every hilltop had some sort of structure on it. And it seemed like everywhere we went, we heard stories about, oh yeah, I found some old pottery here when I was digging this up, or we found some there. So. Once again, we had, it seemed like all to ourselves. We might have seen a handful of other people there. It's so hard to believe that this was right in the middle of the city, because when we were there, walking around, you couldn't hear anything except for the birds. Not a car, not an airplane. It felt like we were in the middle of the jungle, not in the middle of the city. Helpesh was a perfect first ruin for us to see. It was excavated enough for us to get a good idea what it looked like, but still a lot of jungle left. Out of the three we went to, Zunatunic was very excavated. This one was partially, and then the last one, El Pilar, we went to, wasn't excavated at all. So after the temple, we walked down and got a piece of lemon pie. That was at Hannah's. If you're ever in San Ignacio, you must go to Hannah's. And then we did some tubing the next day. So this was on the Mopan River. We'd take the tubes from where we were staying at Cahoon Palms, walk up the road. It's funny, when we wanted to go, after they gave us the tubes, we asked, like, how do we get there? And they said, oh, just walk up the road. And we said, well, how do we get in? And they said, well, just stay right on the rapids. And they said the dog will take us for a guide. And sure enough, the dog met us at the end of the road, and he walked with us and took us to where we should go in. And he said he'll even swim with you. He knows the current really well, but he didn't swim with us. We ended up sort of adopting that dog while we were staying there. Bought some food and just kind of fed him. But most of the river, that was the only fast part. After that, it was a really soft float like this. And it's another great way to see the birds. And we'd float right back to where we were staying, and then get out of the tubes and walk up the steps and be back at Cahoon Palms. There's Whiskey, our guide. He's in rough shape, getting some bites, piece of his ear missing, a big scar on his face, but lovely dog. And then we were off to Zunatunic. We were told it sounds like tuna sandwich, and that just messed me up for good. I could never say either way after that. And then there was the 4-car ferry that took us across. And there we were. That's how it's spelled. So that was Eder. That was the only guide we hired for the 3 temples, which was great because he knew a lot about that temple in particular. His father was one of the first guides there, so he'd been going there since he was a boy. So any question we had, he was quick to answer. This temple is the classic Mayan era. It was a little later than the other one, and sure got some good height from the top. It was only 15 feet lower than the highest temple in Belize. Then it was another breakfast. There's them jacks, fried jacks. Time for another adventure. This time it was to the Belize Raptor Center where they rescue birds of prey. Man, that was cool too. So there was no charge to see this. They did they trained the birds and rehabilitated them every day at 1 o'clock. So it was free to come and watch the process of what they do. And they had this large screen hangar where they did their training and sit and watch. At that time there was a school of veterinarian students in there. And they were there watching with us. Nico got to hold one of the rarest birds in Belize. It's the orange-breasted falcon. And Sam got to hold her too. And then it was back to Cahoon Palms, where Sam started to get into photography and started taking pictures with the camera. He's got a good eye. And then it was time to say goodbye to Cahoon Palms and to Belize. Hard to believe. As Rebecca one last look at the river in the morning before Jonathan came to pick us up and take us one last adventure into El Pilar. And then he was going to take us to San Ignacio for the night, and we were going to leave the next day. So El Pilar was unexcavated. It was a bumpy road to get up there. And when we got there, once again, there was one other group that left quite shortly after we got there. We had the whole place to ourselves. Oh, I took this picture of us in a tunnel. I think there's like an alien there. One last look at the jungle. And then Jonathan picked us up the next morning, took us to the airport, but on the way, we stopped at the Belize Zoo. I've been to a lot of zoos. Winnipeg Zoo, Calgary Zoo, San Diego Zoo, and this zoo is maybe my favorite. You get so close to the animals, and the jungle is so thick that they've planted around it, which is funny because it's not really jungly when you are driving to it, but when you're in there, it's so lush, and you can see that the care and love that they put in this jungle is just so noticeable. And all these animals are all rescue animals, so, and they've got little signs about how they were saved, and it's just a fantastic zoo. Also, they had these incredible wood sculptures of the animals throughout the whole zoo. Just amazing pieces of work. Yeah, you gotta love Belize for stuff like this. I mean, those monkeys, there wasn't even a cage around them. And here we're walking over a bridge that goes over the crocodiles, and these huge crocodiles. No sign that says, stay out. No fence to keep you out. They do have a few signs that say if you stick your fingers into a cage, you'll probably get them bit off. But other than that, it's just they let common sense rule. If you don't want to get hurt, stay away from the animals. If you're still awake and haven't fallen asleep, this is us leaving. Actually, that's not really us leaving, that's on the bus again. But it was like that. Saying goodbye to Belize, off to the airport. One last look at the countryside. And then it was time to get on the airplane, wave goodbye to an incredible adventure and a wonderful country filled with absolutely amazing, kind-hearted people. And come back to see our friends and family